Welcome back to our channel, dear friends. Today is a beautiful day to sit down with a warm cup of tea and dive into the latest unfolding drama in Port Charles. We always appreciate you taking the time to join our discussion, share your thoughtful perspectives, and explore the intricate lives of the characters we have all come to love. Let us look at the gathering storm at the police department. Over the many years that I have been following the complex and deeply emotional world of General Hospital, I have come to appreciate the delicate balance between the forces of good and the encroaching shadows of the criminal underworld. However, the recent developments surrounding the Port Charles Police Department have left me with a profound sense of unease. As a new voice in this wonderful community of viewers, I feel compelled to share my thoughts on a storyline that is rapidly becoming one of the most chilling and masterfully executed narratives we have seen in quite some time. The introduction of Joe Fitzpatrick to the PCPD initially felt like a standard procedural addition, a fresh face to help our beloved detectives maintain order. Yet, the horrifying revelation that Joe is actually a deeply entrenched mole working for the ruthless Jen Sidwell has completely shifted the foundation of the show. It is a brilliant narrative choice, but it is one that fills me with genuine dread for the characters we hold dear. In my opinion, there is nothing quite as terrifying as a villain who wears the badge of a protector. Joe Fitzpatrick's presence within the police department is not just a betrayal of the law, it is a direct assault on the trust that characters like Dante Falconeri and Harrison Chase rely upon every single day. We are watching Joe systematically and quietly sabotage active investigations from the inside, operating with a cold, calculated precision that is truly frightening to behold. He is not a loud theatrical villain. Instead, he is a quiet poison slipping into the bloodstream of Port Charles's justice system. This internal disunity he is sowing among the ranks is creating an atmosphere of paranoia and inefficiency that serves only one man, Jens Sidwell. It is fascinating to watch from a dramatic standpoint, but as a viewer who cares about these legacy institutions, it is deeply unsettling to witness the PCPD being dismantled from within. Perhaps the most tragic and infuriating aspect of Joe's dark agenda is his malicious framing of Isaiah Gannon. My heart truly aches for Isaiah. Here is a man who is already suffering physically and emotionally, having recently endured a violent assault by Curtis Ashford that left him with a broken arm. To see Isaiah now being actively set up by Joe Fitzpatrick to take the fall for Jordan Ashford's hit and run is a profound injustice. We, the audience, know the heavy truth that Brooklyn Quartermain was the other driver that fateful night, yet Joe is manipulating the evidence, likely twisting the details of Isaiah's minor parking lot fender bender to paint him as the prime suspect in a major crime. I firmly believe this is one of the most cruel and manipulative tactics we have seen recently. It preys on an already vulnerable man and uses the machinery of the law to destroy an innocent life, all to serve a much darker, hidden purpose. The sheer brilliance of Sidwell's plan, executed through Joe, becomes horrifyingly clear when we look at the broader map of Port Charles. By framing Isaiah for the hit and run, Joe is manufacturing a massive, high-profile distraction for the PCPD. While the detectives are pouring their resources and attention into investigating an innocent man, their eyes are firmly turned away from the true nightmare unfolding just across the water on Spoon Island. This, I believe, is the true masterstroke of Sidwell's strategy. He needs the police looking anywhere but Windermere. With Ross Cullum holding a psychologically shattered Jocelyn Jacks captive and Liesl Obrecht violently abducted to finish Brit's dangerous cold fusion project, Spoon Island has become an absolute fortress of terror. Joe Fitzpatrick is the shield that allows these atrocities to continue uninterrupted. It is a deeply frustrating situation for those of us watching at home, screaming at our screens for someone, anyone, to look toward the island. This brings me to the profound tragedy of Mayor Laura Collins. Laura has spent decades earning the trust, respect, and adoration of Port Charles, transforming from a beloved romantic heroine into the steadfast moral compass of our city. She has always insisted on doing things by the book, relying on the justice system to handle even the most lethal threats. It is therefore incredibly heartbreaking to witness Jen Sidwell systematically expanding his dark criminal empire right under her very nose. Because Laura trusts the PCPD, she inadvertently trusts Joe Fitzpatrick. Her noble insistence on relying on the law has become her greatest vulnerability. While I deeply admire Laura's unwavering moral integrity, I cannot help but feel that her current blindness to the internal rot at the police department is going to cost her and the city dearly. Sidwell is using her own righteous system against her, and the irony is as bitter as it is compelling. In stark contrast to Laura's legal approach, we have Sonny Corinthos. Sonny operates from a completely different perspective, one forged in the fires of the mob underworld. When Lucas Jones bravely delivered the stolen blackmail photos and negatives, Sonny took immediate, decisive action by burning them. I am sure Sonny believed, at least for a fleeting moment, that he had neutralized Sidwell's leverage and secured a measure of safety for his loved ones. But the terrifying reality of Joe Fitzpatrick's true allegiance proves that the threat has simply evolved into something much more dangerous. The blackmail may be literal ashes, but Sidwell's control over the police force places Sonny and Laura under a suffocating new kind of pressure. They are no longer just fighting a rogue criminal, they are fighting the very institution meant to protect them. I think Maurice Bernard and Jeannie Francis are playing this underlying tension beautifully, conveying the heavy burden of leaders who are slowly realizing they are trapped in a corner. And this leads us to the most terrifying, emotionally gripping, and heart-stopping development of all: the fate of Lucas Jones. Lucas has always been a character who represents the pure, beating moral heart of his family. He does not have the hardened, violent instincts of Sonny, nor the lethal training of a WSB agent. He is a doctor, a man of healing, who bravely chose to step into the shadows of Windermere to protect the people he loves. When Lucas went back to that safe, hoping to find a way to trap Sidwell once and for all, my heart was in my throat. The moment Sidwell appeared and caught Lucas red-handed is a scene that will stay with me for a very long time. It was the realization of our worst fears as viewers. Lucas, with all his inherent goodness, is now standing face to face with pure, unadulterated evil, completely cut off from any help. The sheer horror of this development escalated to an unimaginable level when Sidwell issued his chilling order. He did not just decide to eliminate Lucas, he assigned the task to Joe Fitzpatrick. The psychological weight of this moment is staggering. We are watching a sworn police officer, a man who took an oath to protect the innocent, being ordered to execute a beloved member of the Port Charles community. It is a profound test of Joe's loyalty to Sidwell and a terrifying indicator of just how far gone he truly is. Will Joe actually cross this ultimate, unforgivable line? Can a man who wears the badge bring himself to murder Lucas Jones in cold blood? I find myself agonizing over this question. If Lucas is harmed, the emotional fallout for his family, particularly the legacy of Bobby Spencer, would be too devastating to bear. I am holding on to a desperate hope that Lucas's inherent goodness, or perhaps a sudden, miraculous intervention, will save him from this dark fate. Beyond the immediate life or death threat to Lucas, there is a broader, systemic nightmare looming over the entire city of Port Charles. The whispers and subtle hints that Joe Fitzpatrick could potentially be positioned as the new police commissioner are absolutely chilling. If Sidwell manages to maneuver his loyal assassin into the highest seat of law enforcement, Port Charles will effectively fall. The police department would no longer be a place of justice. It would become the enforcement arm of Sidwell's criminal enterprise. The thought of Dante, Chase, and Anna Devane having to answer to a man who takes execution orders from a monster is a scenario that fills me with dread. It would represent a complete and total victory for the villains, fundamentally altering the landscape of the show in ways that might be impossible to reverse. As I reflect on all these interlocking pieces, I must applaud the writers for weaving such a dense, emotionally resonant, and genuinely frightening narrative. The stakes have never felt higher, and the danger has never felt so intimately embedded in the daily lives of the characters. While it is difficult to watch beloved characters like Laura be deceived, Isaiah be framed, and Lucas face his own mortality, it is this exact level of high-stakes drama that keeps us deeply invested in General Hospital year after year. The story is moving forward with a relentless, terrifying momentum, and every new episode feels like a crucial piece of a very dark puzzle. I sincerely hope that the forces of good in Port Charles will soon wake up to the reality of the enemy living within their own walls. Someone must connect the dots between Joe, Isaiah's false arrest, the silence on Spoon Island, and the sudden, terrifying danger surrounding Lucas. Until that day comes, we will continue to watch, hope, and pray for the safety of the characters who feel like our own extended family. Thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts with you today. I look forward to continuing this conversation as the truth inevitably and hopefully triumphantly comes to light.